Hello everyone and welcome to Fred Davis's podcast. We haven't posted here for a few months. As some of you know, Fred has recently undergone major back surgery. However, he's back now and sharper and clearer than ever. So it's an absolute pleasure to be able to present Fred's work via the podcast platform again. We're starting with a longer episode from a recent Satsang on the 10th of September 23. You can also find lots of Fred's videos on YouTube. We hope you enjoy this episode and we look forward to receiving your comments and feedback.
The mind is dual and has to find the opposite, you know. And then I was like I was thinking about the normal, the like general opposite, good and bad, black and white, right, wrong, whatever you want.
So you were thinking about relativity.
Yeah, but at that time, like,
good thing to think about.
Excuse me?
I said it's a good thing to think about. If you don't think about it, it's going to think about you, so to speak.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, wait a second. I mean, who says there? I mean, how can I say? There must be always, like, it's difficult. Okay, just have.
Yeah, no, I understand, but go ahead, please. I mean, I have to get my lighting adjusted, so we're in.
So I was like, who says that good comes with bad, or right comes with wrong? You know.
And they actually don't come with each other. They are different parts of the same thing.
Yeah. And what if the other, like, let's say that the duality is not actually between things that the mind can see, but is just with the mind?
Duality is a thought stream that's being believed. That's what duality is. It's not real. There is no duality.
Yeah.
We come here and the idea is I'm seeking the secrets to non-duality, but you yourself are the secret to non-duality. And of course, I don't mean the physical body.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It sounded like you had some more on your mind.
No, that's basically that's basically the thing. If I could use relative language.
Yeah.
When I, how can I say? When I see right, the wrong that comes with it, or the judgment that comes with it, it's not outside. It's within me. Okay. If I can use relative language, then I know there is no me. I know there is no Andrea to physically do that. Okay. But I was just, I've always thought of duality as something that was there to experience. And it's not there to experience.
Yeah, right. You're right on it. Go ahead. I'm
right.
Yeah.
It's here experiencing. And wow.
And
yeah,
it's the experienced is the experiencer, or vice versa. The experiencer is the experience. There's actually, it feels like, because of the false pull for duality that naturally, I mean, duality is not our enemy. In the absence of duality, we don't have a meeting today.
Yeah.
And when the absence of duality, there's no alert consciousness. So we don't want to wipe duality out. What we do want to do is we want to keep it in its rightful place, which means it is to enjoy it or to experience it. Sometimes it's not joyful. I didn't have a joyful summer, or I did it joyful times, but I had a lot of pain this summer. So it's the idea of duality is, as we've discussed before, it's presented to us, and when we're still in the crib, or in the and then it's presented there, and then we're clobbered with it for the rest of our lives, and we come to accept it at some point in children, that there's a this and a that, there's a you and a me, there's a here and a there, there's this, and then there's other. There's that which is other. None of that is true. There's only this. And when I say that there's only this, it includes, of course, the Andrea unit and every thought that's ever come through that head. It can't come from anywhere else, and it can't have gone anywhere else. Nothing really comes and goes other than thought and appearances, which are thoughts, just thoughts that are illuminated, so to speak. So duality is a world of thought, which is the only world that there is, so far as I know. You know, let me come out like I just know everything in the world. I don't, but in my limited knowledge, that's what's seen here is manifestation is thought, and the absence of manifestation is no thing. Nothing. So manifestation doesn't really have an opposite. We tend to think of them as opposites, but they're not. They're two sides of the same coin. So what we tend to do is we get involved in spirituality because there's either suffering, or there's a deep, mysterious longing, or there's a craving, whatever, and it's driving us nuts usually. And so we come to spirituality to find some relief, and it can be found here, but it's not free. And it doesn't cost anything, but it's not free. The only thing that it costs you is the beliefs that you came with, because you'll never get this until you've given up on the beliefs that you came here with. I mean, assuming you were not awake before you got here. Plenty of awakened people come here, and they come here in order to clear a bit better. I had a beautiful conversation this week with a woman who was just amazing, and you'll actually, those of you who are on the team, and those of you actually in Satsang too, will get to see that 1 hour with this amazing woman, because I've gotten her permission. I just hadn't processed it yet, which is fine. We finally, we went from having nothing new to now we got a lot of stuff new. So everything has to wait in line, which is beautiful. That's the best problem that the teaching can have. But so what we want to do is we want to accept this, which is just this. It doesn't include the thoughts behind this. It doesn't include the ideas about this. This is just stripped. There's a more or less a neutral world here, and I would say that we are mutually hallucinating, provided there was more than one of us. But there's not. There's just the one of us, and I happen to be looking through at the moment in this room 26 bodies, and what's looking through these 26 bodies is it. And I can say with all the confidence in the world that I am it, and you can say with all the confidence in the world that you are it, but that means that you and I are the very same thing. We are the same thing, but we are not the same. And that's what we all come to spirituality seeking, is the comfort of other. We want to find that thing that's going to fill up this God-sized hole that we're running around with. And we have already tried, but we probably won't give it up until sometime. For many of us, not until a long time after awakening was the case with me. I had a very slow restoration of, I'll say a restoration of sane thinking, but I don't think it was a restoration. I don't think there was ever sane thinking here. So, but there was a very slow period of embodiment here, meaning the process of allowing myself to be embodied. When I say myself, I'm speaking of a false character, but it feels like there's a Fred here, sort of, and allowing that to be overcome and used as a tool by awakeness. And so that's what you've got here, is you can hear me because I'm using this microphone, and the microphone, it hears me, but it doesn't make decisions. These are microphones and they are speakers, but the sound system behind them, there's no body running that. It's just a sound system. It's not even plugged in. It doesn't have to be. There's not anything other than the sound and light. So that's a lot of fun, but it can cease to be fun when we think it's our sound and it's our light. And that, because the first thing I'm going to notice once I realize that, once I believe that I'm a Fred, which I'll believe right off. I mean, it'd take a year and a half about, but maybe not even that long, maybe a little longer for some. Somewhere between 1 and 2 years old, typically, there will be the recognition of a me here. And the only way that you can see a me is by simultaneously seeing other.
Yeah.
So this me and other provide the launching, that's the launching pad for everything, for all the suffering in the world. And because right after it's seen that there is just this me, the first thing, or once oneness has been seen, once there is, or even before the oneness experience, there will be a sense of the problem here is that nobody's listening to me. The world is not running according to my principles. Says who? Well, says nobody. But it feels like Fred's saying that, and it feels true to Fredness, to the patterns that are on autopilot over here. Fred weighs not 1 ounce. Fred has no height, no weight, and no volume. So that's the reason I think that Betsy can manage to put up with me for as long as she has, is that she knows there's nothing here. Hey, would you? There's nothing over there. I'll just ignore it. And once we come to non-duality, because a lot of times, even in non-duality, but even in non-duality, but pretty much, I'll say almost always in anything outside of what we think of as non-duality, there will be the building up of the self. And here, there's no build up. If you're looking for a better self, this is the wrong place to come. This is the wrong place to come. This is not where we build you up. This is where we tear you down. And there has to be that willingness to be torn down. And the problem is we can have that willingness and then we drop it. We drop it because it's just too much. I mean, you want me to surrender to everything. Well, only if you don't want to suffer. But if you don't want to suffer, then my first suggestion is accept this as it is. But the problem is, the moment there's a Fred or an Andrea, we can see very, very clearly that this ain't right. This is not right. This is not right for Fred. And as long as there exists a Fred, and I have to confess to this myself, awakeness has been peering through this body consciously for a very long time now. And nonetheless, this unit is still, sometimes is no better than like a big bass at the bottom of a lake. And something shiny, a little lure comes by, and it's just shining at the bottom of the lake, and it looks so scrumptious that it's not that I do it, because there's no I there. There's a happening, and that big bass reaches out and grabs that lure, and the moment that it does, the fisherman sets the hook and it feels the barb and it cannot get off. And my life was full of barbs, and I could, but I mean, I couldn't, you know, my mouth was so full of barbs I could barely talk. But what was I left doing? Looking for barbs, right? I was still looking for shiny stuff, and I was thinking that the shiny stuff would cure me of the ailments that I had, because I was betting everything on the shiny stuff. Doesn't work like that. Now, some spiritual teachings will tell you that you need to surrender, and you will hear me say that, and it's a skillful thing to say. It's just not true. Because when someone suggests that we surrender, we might ask back, who are you talking about? If we're really alert, because there's no one here to surrender, but there is a sense of surrender. And as long as we hang on to the sense of resistance, there will be a sense that this body is me, and there will be a sense that my way is the right way, and it's my way or the highway, and da 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 da. And I can grab onto that thing too. Don't think that I'm not fully vulnerable to the same things that you are. I am. But for some of you, that's obvious. But for some of you, may be thinking they're still thinking there's a very wise and incorruptible teacher over here, and it may be, but he's got to be behind that wall. He's not in this chair, which I'd be a lot to live up to. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say something. When you said before, then this is free, but you need to drop all your beliefs.
Yeah.
Would that mean basically to see the beliefs for what they really are, for what they are? Basically.
Well, the first belief that you have to drop is you to recognize that there is no one to drop it. So what you have to do is, the biggest thing that we misunderstand in non-duality probably is that it's not about what we do, because we're not in control of that. It's about the willingness to surrender to this. I can't control what this unit does or what it thinks or any of that, because it's not mine. You know, it's just a unit. I'm using it at the moment, just like I'm using the other ones in this room. I'm using it to experience duality, but there's no one over here. There's no Fred over here that's in control of it. And Fredness is just a series of patterns. You look at this and you think there's Fred, and it would be true if there was one, but there's not. So what we'd say is it's a bunch of patterns over here that are compacted for now, and that they seem to be working together. There's a term for animals that work together and stuff. I can't remember what it is. The
symbiosis, maybe.
Symbiosis. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. That's exactly what I was looking for. So there is a symbiosis, and that appears to go between this thing and a thought, or this thing and a shirt, right? Whatever it is. The thing that everyone is missing, and sometimes it can be missed here, is willingness. And that's all you have to have. That's all you have to get. There has to be the willingness. When in AA, they talk a lot about willingness, and because they got it. They talk about the willingness, but the it's not just willingness to go through the steps. It's just simply willingness to tell ourselves and others the truth. We have to be willing to tell ourselves the truth. If we're not willing to tell ourselves the truth, we can expect to be at war with the world. until that changes. So there's no one here, but there does need to be a sense of willingness, a sense of cooperation with what is, because it doesn't matter what you think about what is, it is. And you're thinking it shouldn't be, but it is. You think it ought to be somewhere else, but it's like this. And it's not like that because there's no that. If there's a that, it's only in your head. And that's where all the trouble is. It's in your imagination. It's in our imagination. We believe that there are other ways that the world could run, but there aren't. We believe that there are other steps that people should be taking, to get rid of pollution and everything, and maybe get this global warming down. I think there's a lot of things people need to be doing, but I ain't doing anything myself. That's for others to take care of, but there are no others. It's always me. There's a problem, there's me. If there's satisfaction, there's me. It's just, there's only one thing, and I am it. And so are you. We are the very same thing, looking through different masks. Thank you, Andrea. That was a great lead.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you so much.
JP.
Yes, here I am.
Good. There's the master. Come out and teach us.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. In the beginning, I didn't hear you. I was distracted. My wife came into the room and said something about the hamster that my girl was holding. So, the regular stuff.
You went down that road. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm having a session tomorrow with a client. He's an old client of mine, a coaching client. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to have like an awakening session. So we're doing that. But it didn't come so easily. So he was asking about it. And then I said, this is what it is. Here's the webpage. Go look at it. This is what it costs. And then he started asking, is there a money back guarantee? And I, of course, no, there isn't. Because you can smell the ego asking the question for from afar.
I'm expecting you to do something to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is there a money back guarantee for me to wake up? Mm-hmm. And I remember a while ago, maybe I'd say 6 months, 9 months ago in Satsang, there was this fella who was asking you about the same thing. Is there a money back guarantee? And you said no. So I kind of copied you on that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to hear your thoughts about it, because when you spoke with Andrea, you dropped some real golden nuggets here that really will, help me tomorrow with the client, because I'm sensing, that it's going to be a tough nut to crack.
You bet.
Yeah. But you said it'll cost you the beliefs you came here with. That was really good.
That's right.
And the first belief you have to drop is the belief that there is someone to drop it.
That's right.
Golden.
That's right. So that forces you into willingness. It forces you into, what is he talking about? What the hell? I'm supposed to do something. I don't even know what it is that he's asking me to do. I don't know how to do it. And that's gold, because that's the great unknowing.
Yep. So basically, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on working with a client that you sense that wants to wake up, but then you can also see the struggle that the ego is, the willingness is there, but then it isn't. You know what I mean?
That's somebody who doesn't want to wake up, probably. Doesn't mean they won't, but it means that, because I have lots of people who I want to wake up, but our situation proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that they didn't, but I tricked them.
They still did
anyway.
But they still did, right?
Yeah. So that's your job, is to trick the guy that wants to wake up into seeing that there's no guy. Mm-hmm. So the money back guarantee thing, what that does is it immediately puts the burden on you.
Oh yeah.
Burden's not on me. I've been doing this for over a decade. I got a track record I've got hundreds, maybe a couple of thousand students who've woken up. I got nothing to prove, and I will come out and be that blunt in a session. If I've got me what I would typically think of as a smart ass.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is.
And I will come out and I will say, look, It's not on me. It's on you. Because I can't do anything to you or for you. I can help you come to see the truth. But yeah, but the sense of humor is well advised. I asked Juan, don't forget your sense of humor.
Yeah.
And because it's very good to be able to laugh about this instead of taking everything so damn seriously. I just can't get this. It's too difficult. It's full of trickery. It's full of paradox is what it is. It's difficult for us to accept paradox because we don't know exactly what we're accepting, and that's good. So put it back on them. And it's not because, and you can tell them this, which is exactly what I do. So what happens for this session is that you have actually rented my 90 minutes from me. You have rented my time. What you do with that time is not dependent on me. I do the same damn thing in every session. On every awakening session, I do something very similar to the last. It's not a 1, 2, 3, but it's a 1, 3, 2. Right?
I mean, exactly. And the thing is, let's say you go to like a psychotherapist. It's on you as a client to tell the truth. I mean, if you're telling lies about your inner self to the, your inner world to the therapist, then it's on you. You would never get your money's worth because you were not being truthful. So exactly so.
And the core problem is that we won't tell ourselves the truth.
Yep.
We say that we will. We say that we are, but we plant our heels and will not be budged because I see certain things a certain way, and guess what? That's the right way. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for me, for Fredness, for the personality here. It just doesn't work that way. If it was, I would have had no pain whatsoever this summer, right? I would just, in fact, matter of fact, I don't even know that I'd be in this chair, right? I'd like to be just, some island or something, baking in the sun and with a little drink with an umbrella in it, right? That's what So this is what you get, and you don't have to like it. You have the option to suffer instead.
Yeah.
And there are people that I have met where I come to see that they really, deep down, that they really do not want to wake up. And those are the people that will actually see it. They will see it and they'll be able to talk about it. But they're always, but when they're talking about it, they're always coming from memory. There are lots and lots of teachers out there that are teaching from memory. As the people here well know, if I was teaching from memory, I would have said hello probably, but I wouldn't remember anything that came after that. So it's always spontaneous. And that's really what we're looking for, is spontaneity, because it's all about this here now. Exactly.
And how easy that is to miss for somebody who's really invested in their being themselves, being the person, and how scary it is. I remember how scary the whole idea, and it is an idea, the whole idea of a permanent awakeness seemed. It would, it seemed like this personality would somehow vanish and disappear, which, at least according to my humble experience, didn't happen and does not happen at all. But it's infused with the awakeness, which is really cool. I think it's infused in it.
It's there's no way, pretty much, to not be confused. I hope, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that you do.
Oh, you're hoping. Oh, you're hoping. I do.
And if I can convince you, maybe you can convince me, because I'm a little iffy.
Yeah.
So, and really that is the truth of it. Is sureness is the death of spiritual progress.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
we
Sureness is the still life of spirituality, like making a still life out of something that's living.
One thing a client has never experienced, it's been in not, I don't want to say never. One thing a client has rarely experienced if they've been in the non-dual field is that, and it may be that there wasn't a time or a place, and maybe there may be good reasons for it, but one thing that they typically have not experienced is a truthful conversation with a teacher. Right?
Yeah. And that's so scary that you want to have your money returned unless, you know, I mean, I see it as, I mean, I just see it as coming from a really scared place, which I really understand and resonate with even.
I see that. Thanks to Judy for sending me a notice on that. And Ajashanti is retiring.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he is. And I'm so blessed that I had I talked to him a couple of times, and he had a tremendous influence on me. It doesn't matter the amount of time, because I spent a lot of time with him. He didn't spend a lot of time with me, but I read books, I watched his videos, all of it. And what was the correlation to this? I can't remember exactly, but he is retiring from active teaching. And what we have to do when we come here is retire from active seeking. And there's no one to do that. So it's a totally mysterious situation, which is the reason I say the willingness, for me to tell you to give up all of your beliefs. I mean, I've already made you something and somebody, and now I've got something I want you to do. Well, what we're really talking about here is that it's a total undoing, and it's contingent upon an ever-flowing willingness. This thing gets things wrong. It does. There's still a human being here, and I'm pray for anything any human being is, really. My head can get turned by many things.
Sure. And
when this happens, the best that can be done here, I mean, this is not that advanced, is I can see it afterwards.
Yeah.
And that is actually what, apparently Nisargadatta didn't quite have it either, because that was the best that he could do, and for a long time. But he would say that, right, is that the thoughts still arise, but they're seen through and they disappear. And that's exactly what happens here, except for the ones that don't get noticed and do get believed. And then I get to suffer until I notice I'm suffering. And what I do as a cue, just to throw this out there, is my cue is all I have to do is notice if I'm suffering. And if I'm suffering right now, I'm believing thought. It's that simple. Thought is what causes all the suffering. And this comes from somebody who experienced tremendous pain this summer. Just off the charts. And there was no clear seeing and rainbows then, but there was very shortly afterwards. Even in that same agony could be found the truth, even if it wasn't known what it was. Because I just found that there was something that was okay, and I did not know that it was me at first, but I tracked it down, so to speak. How do you track it down? You look in a mirror.
And also the mirror of other people. I mean, I can also see when I cause suffering to other people, being a family man with 3 kids, it's quite easy to see those other people as mirrors. Sometimes I suffer, the eye suffers, the personality is hooked, but sometimes it causes suffering to other people, and that can also act as a kind of a reminder: is the other person suffering because of a thought that I just believed? And it's, oh boy, that happens here a lot.
Yeah. So you can judge a teacher really and truly by the long-term students that are around him. Short-term, they come and go, may or may not have much influence, but long-term students, that we need to, if they're long-term, we need to be talking about awakened students, right? Or awake. There's no awakened student or unit, but you know what I mean.
Sure
Awakeness has to be conscious over there. Because if you're with somebody 2 years and you haven't woken up, then you need to look at the rest of their teaching. Is anybody else waking up? If they're not, you need to get the hell out of there and find some place where they are waking up, because there are places where they are. This is one of them. But you have to surrender here, not to me. This is just an old man, right? And I mean, I have just found out just how common I am this summer, right? They put me in rooms with a bunch of old men, and you couldn't tell that I was the special one unless I had already put that in your head, right? I was like, God, there's a bunch of weirdos in here plus me, and but no, there was a bunch of weirdos in there, and I was chief among them, and so. That's a literal truth, in the sense that they had me down for dementia, and when I graduated to clarity and speaking non-duality, you know what they said? This guy is still demented. You got dementia. He's crazy as hell. He thinks there's nobody here.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
So I had no defense. The only thing I could hope is that they would see the light, and Betsy had to turn the light on for them. They never did see it until Betsy turned it on for them and said, look, there's light in this room. And now look again at this man. And when they did, they all went, look at this. And they weren't noticing the enlightened wonder. All they were noticing was a guy that didn't have dementia and wasn't going to throw another punch, as long as they didn't get stupid. If they got stupid, he might throw a punch. It's a unit here. And there was a unit here that did throw a punch. It just didn't land.
Sure thing.
Fortunately, I'm sure it would have been even bigger trouble. So it's not on you. And it's really, we have to understand that it's not on them. How do we know there is not on them? There's no them there.
Mm-hmm.
So awakeness, in some way that I cannot understand, this is part of that paradox. Somehow, awakeness has to be ready to accept the truth of its own nature.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, I cannot think of any more exciting thing for awakeness now. And awakeness is like a child, and that child is what's the sweetest ambrosia that awakeness can have. Well, it's the coming into a meeting like this, for instance, and it's like, I'm feeling moved. What is this? And then there's something inside that's going, yeah. This is it. Oh, what do you say?
The thing is, what's real funny is that the guy that I'm going to meet tomorrow, he's worked in sales for ages, and now he's going to be a sales trainer. So the funny thing is, there's this very human, very character-driven, very unit-driven wish to, have a money-back guarantee, which is, of course, as we both know, used in sales all the time. And I've used it.
You can ask him this. Who would I make the checkout to?
Exactly. I mean, I've used it in my coaching programs for the longest time, except for this one, out of principle. So the funny thing is, there is something there. I mean, the awakeness there recognizes itself in this offering, and is raising its hand. I want this, daddy, please, can I get this? And he's getting it. It is getting it. I am getting it.
Until things don't match the conditions don't match my favor.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and we have to work with those, tomorrow. But it'll go well. I'm sure of it. It'll go well.
Very soon I'll be in great shape.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
How long have you felt like that? Well, 40 years.
Yeah,
Maybe you got a false reading on things.
Yeah, I mean, you tried it your way. Maybe we'll try it, my way.
Yeah,
as
that's
said.
what and there's another thing that I will just to throw that out at you. I will say, how long have you been practicing non-duality? And they say 20 years. The first guy I ever asked that of said 20 years. And so I looked at him and I said, so let me see. You've had 20 years to try it your way. And you paid me money to get on his porch. And now you want to cut out here with an acknowledged awakened guy, if you will. And you want me to do things your way. So you come failing and ready to continue to fail. And fortunately for you, I don't give a shit what you think, what you want. I know what you really want because I know who you really are. And that's what we're all about. And you have to redirect that, and it will be intuitive for you. You'll feel it.
Yeah,
that's all you got. Because you talk long enough. But of course, part of what we're doing here is this is an open conversation for people who have not been in this as long as we have, right? Mm-hmm. And this helps them. It helps everybody to hear the newest guy in the room. Yeah.
Which is us.
I love that. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Almighty, a spike of humility. Did anybody see that? I think it was going for me, but I managed to dodge it, right? As I usually do. Okay. Praveen, come on in, please.
Hi. So I think you partially already answered my question, as always, when you said that suffering is nothing but believing your thoughts.
Yeah, that's the truth.
However, the part of my question still remains that when you say that it is accepting what is, but I have this memory. Can clearly see. I can see around me people doing things. You do things, and you change things. So
what is it that you do what is it that you do? Tell me that, because I don't do anything. What is it that you see people doing? That you see people
like
doing?
If they are in a situation, if I'm in a situation, if I do, for example, if I'm hungry.
And when you say I'm in that situation, just exactly who are you referring to?
To say just this body, this mind.
The body mind, okay. Are you that body? Have you ever heard it said in non-duality that you are not the body?
No, and you constantly say that I'm not, but
yeah, but you never heard any other teacher say it?
Yeah, they all say it.
Yeah, they all say it. Okay, so what if they're telling you the truth? And then you sit over there and you smile and you say, yeah, everybody tells me I'm not the body, but I'm not going to believe what I already know. I'm not going to go along with it. I'm in opposition to what the best teachers, perhaps some of the best teachers in the world, I'm in opposition to what they're saying. I won't listen. I came here for advice, but no thanks. I came here to find out how to wake up, but second thought, I don't think I'll take it. And I've seen it. I've seen it. It's the truth. It's the truth. And the truth, first thing the truth said was that I got to get rid of Fred. So I backed up from that. So what we are looking for here is the unconditional truth, because what we have is we have a world full of people who want to wake up and want to wake up now, and here's exactly how I want to do it. This is what it should look like. This is what it should sound like. This is what it should feel like. This is how you should treat me afterwards. This is how everybody else should treat me. And, I expect animals to be able to recognize it. Maybe they'll come over and they'll, and the bears will come down and we'll all have a big dinner over a picnic blanket or something. And everything will get that I am incredibly special now. And I'm sorry to tell you, but the truth of awakening is not finding out that you're very, very special. It's finding out that you are extraordinary on a level that you can't even imagine. It's not about building something up. It's about tearing something down. And see, the funny thing is that I can't tear it down without your help. I can use, maybe I might even be able to fool you for just a minute. Maybe I got you to see it for just a minute because you couldn't resist the trickery. But that trickery will not last if you're unwilling to see the truth. Because and I'll tell some people sometimes, clients, I'll say, so other than what we've done so far, tell me, what do you think that I could or should do here for you to help you believe, to help you confess to believing what you know is already true? You know, in other words, the truth is, you know, it's not mysterious. It's right here. It's not that it's so complex. It's just so too damn simple. We want it to be complex because then what? I'll be special. What we're really after is specialness, and that does not come with enlightenment. It comes in the minds of people who believe they want to be enlightened so that then they will know everything. I know nothing, and my first wish is to know less than I do. Because in the absence of judgment, I can't find anything wrong with this. See, this needs to be perfectly well, unless what? Unless I dream up some other way, some other existence, some other movement than this. But it's going to be imaginary. And I want my imaginary enlightenment to match my imaginary scenario. It's lose the mind.
The conditioning is so heavy, and I think it is conditioning that tells me that, you know, don't accept the situation, anything.
Conditioning doesn't tell you you are conditioning. That's what the Praveen unit is. That's a lump of conditioning, complaining about conditioning. If only I could get rid of all this conditioning, but be prepared to disappear. Because this whole thing is conditioning, and it's on autopilot, and it's just going like it's going. And if you don't have to get on board, but if you don't, and you hang around spiritual circles, they're going to squash you like a rat, unless they're just bleeding you to death for money or sex or power or something. And if they're doing that, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, it's coming. Just keep coming back. Come on, hang on. You can be like me. Although nobody seems to ever quite get there. You know, you're making progress, but it's really regression that we're talking about, where you lose that initial thought, which is that I'm afraid, I'm an individual, I'm separate, I'm special, I'm right, I'm good, and which makes I'm the good one, which automatically makes you the bad one. I'm the right one, which automatically makes you the wrong one. And I'm not, I just, you know what? I'd just rather suffer than give that up. And that is the truth all over the world, at all levels of suffering. Is I would rather suffer than tell myself the truth. I would rather suffer than tell you the truth. I would rather suffer than to get honest with myself. And if you're not willing to get honest, this program will do you no good whatsoever.
Is it enough to, though, just tell myself the truth?
When you say myself, who is that? Who are you talking about?
Me.
And me, what are you talking about when you say me? What are you referring to?
It's the only me that I know.
Well, what is that me then? To share it with me.
It's just body and mind. It's this
mind. It's that body and mind. But you're in non-duality, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to drop out of non-duality, because see, the first rule of non-duality, which you have heard many, many times from many, many teachers, and you're hearing it from a very good teacher right now, is you are not the body. Get that through your thick skull. You are not the body. You are not the body. And really, the better way to say it is that the body is not you. The mind is not you. Can you even show me a mind empty of thought?
No.
No. So where are you there? The body and mind. I can't find a mind. I just find a bunch of thoughts. And these bunch of thoughts have banded together and said there's someone in the middle. But you are, what Praveen is we've seen a bunch of them lately. You're Hurricane Praveen. And here you come. And we've all been watching you on the Weather Channel and got them money. We've been buying groceries and lumber and all kinds of stuff to try to make sure that we get through Hurricane Praveen. But see, and when I was a little boy, and we had a hurricane, and it came through here, and it was just a huge storm. You know what a hurricane looks like from movies, if nothing else. And it wasn't as bad as it was on the coast, but it was bad enough. I mean, power was out everywhere, all that. And then all of a sudden, that storm stopped. It just like that, the storm just ceased. And suddenly there was a storm, and then suddenly there was an absence of storm. And you know what was particularly interesting about that absence of storm? Nothing. Because it was just an absence of something. There was an absence of storm. And I was in what they call the eye of the storm. And then you got to watch out, because it may be that the worst part of the storm is coming. I think it's coming, if it's coming from the southeast or whatever. I've forgotten. It's a direction that if it's coming from that direction, you're in deep doo-doo. So what I found out is that a hurricane, actually, there's no driver. We don't call it Hurricane Praveen because there's a Praveen there. We just call it Hurricane Praveen because otherwise we cannot even try to distinguish it from the other storms, or even this weather right here, which is pretty pleasant. You can't distinguish unless, what is it that gives us the power of separation? Words. When you name something, you have just invented something. When you name something, you have created something, because there's nothing there. There really is not. So I want Praveen to wake up. There ain't no Praveen. And Praveen is having all this trouble. There is no Praveen. There's no Fred. Fred Davis is not awakened. Never was and never could be, because there's no Fred Davis. So what we see is that none of these storms have any power. They're just ideas, but this is Hurricane Praveen, and oh, God Almighty, you saw the last hurricane, and this one's going to be hell. How do you know? Because I've already made it so in my mind. So even if I get in my car and I drive to the mountains, I'm going to still suffer from Hurricane Praveen, which has got me on the run. It's going to kick my ass. So all of your questions are coming from the wrong place, and that's what your problem is that the questions need to come from awakeness, not a Praveen, not conditioning. They just need to come from awakeness. And so if I say right here, right now, if you were to just with me, just for a minute, and you can do this right now, I promise you that you can. If you were for just one moment to drop thought, can you find a problem? No. And whose thought was that? It wasn't anybody's thought. But when you think that this thought is Praveen's, you make it special. And it's my thought, therefore, it is true and important. And nothing could be further than the truth. Our minds are gutters. And crap just ends in them, and it spews it out at the end. And then sometimes that gutter will just get clogged. The water just goes over the side. And then we end up with that. And where that water has collided and is no longer flowing, That's where Praveen and Fred live. We are the stuck thing in the gutter. And what we need something to come along and scoop that out. And once they scoop that out, then it can be seen. Well, wait a minute. It's now it's going down the gut. Now it's going down the drain. Why is it not doing it? Oh, we just tore it apart. We undid the knot. We cut through it. Oh. So are you trying to tell me that there was nothing there to free to begin with? Right. Freedom was always here. You don't tell me that freedom looks like this, because I just know it doesn't, says Fred. But it does, says Awakens. See, when we have all these teachers telling us, you know, all you have to do is surrender to this, what I never put together, and you haven't yet, but you might during this conversation, is the fact that, you know, is that this they were talking about that I had to surrender to, just all I had to surrender to was this. I had no clue that they were talking about this. But that's what they were talking about all the time. This moment, no. I'm looking for something exotic. The way things are right now, you mean, I mean, when I was in the hospital and did not know who I was, I experienced terrible things in that hospital. The worst things that never happened to me happened in that hospital. All right. Oh, they're just Fred stories. It's the Praveen stories, Awakeness. That's where you have to start. And that starts with willingness, which is what we were talking about earlier. There has to be the willingness to see through whatever it is that's blocking you from awakening. And what's blocking you is the Praveen thought. That's what's blocking you. Because when you wake up, if you're thinking that Praveen is going to finally get it, and that body's going to be really special, and all this, and none of that's true. There's no enlightened Fred Davis, never has been, never could be, because there's no Fred Davis, period. So I'm just going to go through this part rapidly and move to somebody else. How much does Praveen weigh? Say it loud. Be proud. How much does Praveen weigh, big boy?
It doesn't weigh anything.
It doesn't weigh anything. And how tall is Praveen?
Oh, there's no limit.
There's no. It's not that it's not about that, because that would still be a limit or a limitless thing for Praveen. How tall is Praveen? There's no Praveen. I can't measure what isn't here. And I can't wake up what isn't here either. The only thing I can do is talk to God and hope that the unit that God is wearing that day is just dumb enough to stop and actually hear what's being said here, instead of listening to the recording that is going around and around and around and around and around. So it sounds like you got something here. And what I want you to do is I don't want you to go away thinking I finally got it, because you'll be talking about Praveen again. Mm-hmm. Go away not knowing what happened here, and go away not knowing what it happened to. And then dedicate yourself to this. Awakening will not stay away indefinitely from a really, really sincere seeker. It will, throw up the usual flags and problems, but it will succumb. Because it has to, because that's what it wants to do. You're trying to come home. The only thing that's in your way is ego. Everybody's got an ego. Including this, but I'm willing to not believe my ego. When I say my ego, who am I even talking about? The my doesn't matter. We don't have to answer all the questions here. What we have to do is question all the answers. Robin, how can I help you, sir?
Hi, Fred, everybody. I just felt I was there tidying up in some old papers today, and I stumbled across the first mail I sent you, Fred, after our awakening session 9 years ago. And it's quite funny. I mean, I just want to, it's not.
Oh, please read it. I would be dying.
Okay. Hi, Fred. I'm somewhat lost at sea after my awakening session last Thursday. Something has shifted, but at the same time, I feel certain I'm back in the dream most of the time. Some of the time, I'm looking at the world through this me thing, and other times, I can just close my eyes and feel this sense of being with no boundary, expanding in all directions.
Yes.
It's all very subtle and not at all like Star Wars and angels and trumpets, like I was expecting. But it goes on a bit. And then your answer was, don't fret, nothing's broken. This is how it almost always works. There you go.
Yeah. So let me show you a paradox in that letter that you should have been able to see clearly, but you didn't. I mean, I'm not saying you should. Well, you should be able to see it now. So I'm going to bring it to your attention. Is that there was something about where it was expanding. All right, the boundless you refer to something.
Yeah.
Give me that sentence.
I said the whole sentence is, some of the time I'm looking at the world through this me thing, the mind body, and other times I can just close my eyes and feel this sense of being with no boundary, expanding in all directions.
Yeah. So this is what look at that paradox. Can something without a boundary expand?
That was the feeling then. That was the sense. That was like,
I know, that was the sense. And it's good. And you were hot, as you know today. I mean, you were hot on the trail way back then. That's a great query, but but we can chop it up and see, right? And because what you're really saying, and it is that the me that I'm experiencing, I mean, I'm never experiencing anything but awakeness. But there are egoic patterns, just like there are patterns of conditioning, all kinds. This is a pattern of a Red Bull can. It's a pattern. There's not really anything called Red Bull. There's not really. I mean, there is within the game. There is within relativity, and I don't want to ignore that, right? And I don't. When I'm thirsty, I go get myself a Red Bull. I don't ignore it. And everybody tells me you're going to die from Red Bull. And you know what Betsy and somebody told us about yesterday. And Betsy stopped to pause and told them, you know what, we're two old drunks. And if he dies from drinking Red Bull, we win.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Oh.
She's told him the truth. See, but we don't want to tell the truth. What we want to do is we want to sell something that makes us look really good, because I'm looking for something that's going to make me look better than I am, looking for something to make me feel better than I do. And what I want to do is I want to be able to lie about it and have you agree with me and go along with my lie, because if you do that, then it's complete, because I've already decided that doesn't work like that. Just simply doesn't work like that. There are no more hands. I've only taught it 2 people. All right. All right, there we go. John Lane. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Yeah, John, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, I think
your mic is really low.
Okay. I don't know if I can do anything about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's much better.
All right.
Now I can't hear you at all.
No, can you hear me?
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, I had the microphone in the wrong place.
Okay.
So
very clear.
What I really appreciate about you teaching is the simplicity. Yeah. And I think what is needed is the willingness to accept the simplicity,
Exactly.
And because like earlier today, I had a little period there where where I was sort of, the thing was, it's along something's not right, I should be more awake than this, that one there.
Absolutely.
And then,
I should be
then-
richer than I am.
but then what I remembered was there's only one thing going on, So it's just oneness was having that experience. So just,
Oneness was having that experience.
Yeah.
And how can it have that experience? Through a unit.
yeah.
Can
but-
it have that experience in the absence of units? No.
Yeah. But anyway, just by remembering there's only one thing going on, it just sort of got me back on the beam.
Good. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
How difficult is that? There's only one thing going on. What does he mean by that? Well, I don't know. Let's pull out the words. There's only, okay. So there, I guess he's talking about this, that world. There's only, which means he's just talking about something that exists. Oh, that's other than not, other than anything else, or it's not like anything else, and it's what is it? What is it that's trying to try to solve the mystery? Because it is a mystery. I call it the mystery sometimes. But it remains a mystery, not because we're too dumb, but because we're too smart. And this process is dumbing smart people down just enough and just long enough to where will come to tell themselves the truth, which is that, and as you have seen it yourself, there's no John there. So in the absence of a John, how am I going to wake one up? I can't wake up a John, but people all over the world say I woke them up. And some of them will think that I woke up the unit. And they'll say, Fred Davis is something, you should give him a try. You woke my ass up. But I didn't. I woke this one. The deep one here. I woke myself up. There's nothing else for me to wake up. There's nothing else. Period. There's not me and my stories. There's only me. Those stories occur within awakeness, but they're kind of like, worms or something. Like, we keep our dogs wormed, right? Because we don't want things running around and amok inside of them. But with somebody coming, ever since you entered non-duality, there's been somebody running behind you saying, let me have that thing. And you've been speeding up and saying, no, don't you dare kill me. How can I kill something that doesn't exist? I can't wake it up. I can't make it, I can't make it laugh. Laughter is spontaneous. When you laugh at something that I say, it means that I'm finding myself funny. And I do find myself to be funny. I find the Fred unit to be charming. I really like it. Well, who's talking? Who gives a shit? I really like it. There's no one here. There's no one here to see it. There's no one here to not see it. There is willingness to tell myself the truth right here, right now, or there's not. And I don't see why, if you don't want to, you would want your money back. When I had, I've just spent the same hour and a half that I did with somebody yesterday, or 2 hours, no, hour and a half, that I did just like I did with somebody yesterday, and they woke up great places, and the person right after you will too. They're not going to get anything you didn't get. So my percentages are very, very high, embarrassingly high when it comes to awakening people, but you can still squirm out if you know how? If you don't want what I'm selling, if you don't want what I'm really giving away. Susan.
Just what you just said, it's like, it's like we don't really want it. We want our idea.
That's right.
What we think it is. Because if we really knew what it was, we might not want it.
That's right. And that part is true too.
Yeah. and to the realization it's just this. It's like, well, really? So, and I know we've talked about this before, but just to kind of
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing we haven't talked about before, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like what you were just saying. It's like we think we want it, but what we want is our fantasy of it.
Yeah, yeah, we want our fantasy of it. I want, and I'm bartering with God until I get it.
Yeah, and I listened to Aj's, retirement speech this morning, and it came. I mean, he has PTSD, and he's from all those years of suffering with extreme, excruciating pain, and he couldn't take anything for it because it didn't work on him. Right. And but he said it doesn't. None of that affects. And this is what you were saying with your experience this summer. Is nothing affects true nature.
Right.
It's always there.
Yeah.
And I marvel at this when you tell that story of how it was like, well, when you and I were talking about it, like we described it as a labyrinth, or that's how it appeared, and that you kept finding these little threads and found your way back.
That's it. Yeah, what I did was I've noticed that there's a pattern here.
Yes, that was
There's seeking. And the pattern is that there's seeking behavior here. There was something so deep down that was known that rocked even the crazy man's world. Even the one in agony on all kinds of drugs, it shook it.
Yeah.
Because it knew, immediately, I've seen this before. And it's important. I have no idea what it means, but I know I've seen it before and that it's important.
Yeah. And then, having started this really in some ways in childhood, it was never Susan that was looking for it.
Right. No, of course not.
Yeah. She claimed it. She identified with it sometimes. But she was never looking for it because
true nature wanted to experience life through a ball of conditioning just like that one.
Yeah. And I used to say, I'm here to show God a good time. And I think
I love that.
Yeah. And that can get you in a whole lot of trouble. But it's just so interesting that what happens with the character still happens,
Yeah, it can still happen. Absolutely.
It can still happen. You can still get sick. You can still have pain. The body, it doesn't perfect.
Fear can arise because there can be overwhelm.
Yeah.
What happens is overwhelm.
Unit overwhelm, I think you've said.
Unit overwhelm. That's exactly right. And that's what Betsy and I actually touched on it yesterday. Because there was just so much that had to be done, it just couldn't be done. So we need to surrender to that. And guess what? That fixes it. Because I can't do anything, but I can do this.
Yeah, and just coming back to the I don't know, and it's okay that I don't know. I don't have to know.
Yeah, who is it that wants to know?
I was just going to say that. And who is it that wants to know? Yeah. When you're a little kid and other kids would ask you a question, you'd say, who wants to know?
That's right. Yeah.
It's just like that.
It is just like that. It's childlike. It's just like that. It's it's a little childlike questions that work. All this exotic stuff. I'm not saying it hasn't worked on anybody, but I know that most people that have woken up under exotic circumstances have done so despite the exotic circumstances, not because of.
And even more than the fear of death is the fear of enlightenment, because then there's no me left.
That's right.
No sweet, precious, special me.
No, that's it. And I don't want to give that up because it's all I know.
Yeah.
He's talking about the great unknown. What the hell would I want with that?
Yeah.
Right?
I want a perfect life. Where's that? Where did they sell that?
Well, I can let me write it down for you. I'll tell you, and I'll show you my perfect life. And if what it looks like, what it sounds like, who's in it, who's not in it, very important. And I'm going to take that to you, and hopefully, now at last, God is going to listen to me. The problem with God is that he just doesn't listen.
And he rarely does what I want.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happenstance happens, and we call it my wisdom. But then the happenstance happens, and we say, "Oh, well, that wasn't me."
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
It was good.
You're on fire again. I mean,
yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. This is amazing. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Keith just wrote the same thing I just said. Fred is on fire today. Yeah. Sparks are flying. The sparks are flying.
I love you to death, Susan Foster.
You too. Thank you, my love.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go over here and have another battle with Praveen, I think.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
It might, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't.
Just a quick follow-up on what you just said about unit overwhelm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of anxiety and situations arise. So when you say surrender to it, I get it. But at the same time, don't you take action to, do things?
Who are you talking to?
There is action on the relative level that needs to be taken, right?
Where'd you get that?
So, for example, if you have a lot of just the physical tasks to perform, things to arrange, and all of a sudden you're overwhelmed, oh my God, all this thing needs to be done.
Oh, that's because you think you're that body, don't you? I know I'm not, and I know that things happen as they do, and it's not something that I have to do. So really, the difference between you and me is that I know I'm not this body, and you think you are. And see, as long as you think that, and you go after satisfying that, there'll be no awakening. So throw away your books, throw away, keep your money. Don't, there's no point in coming here if you are not willing to tell yourself the truth, because I will trick you, I will yell at you, I will bop you on the head, I will do whatever is necessary to get you to see the truth. But ultimately, I do get tired of it. And at that point, I will tell you, I've tried, it's boring. No need for you to come back.
Well, I'm ready to be beaten because I have nowhere else to go.
When you tell me that I'm ready to be beaten down, where'd that idea come from? Whose idea is that?
It's the idea of it's not not the idea of me personally, because that wouldn't have that idea.
Is there a personal you?
No.
So really, you don't know much. I mean, how much does Praveen weigh?
I always get confused
I always get confused. Who the hell is that I that you're spouting about?
Yeah.
There's confusion.
Yes.
But it can't be yours because there's no Praveen.
So then whose confusion is it?
In the absence of Praveen, what do you find here? Look around.
In the absence of me, everything is as still it is.
Oh, you're still looking? Is that true? Then tell me what you are. And then tell me how much you weigh.
If I am not in the picture, then
I'm not in the picture. When you say that, who's the I'm that you're referring to? And you're right, you're not in the picture, but that's still just technically. And I want you, because you've got to see this really clearly. I can see that. No wonder you hadn't woken up. Jesus God. It doesn't shock me. I mean, you can overcome the absolute simple truth over and over and over. And that's when, and this is, see, that's the problem, is you're trying to make this thing complex, and it's not, it's simple. You're trying to figure this out, and it's unfigure outable. You're trying to put this together, and there's nothing to put together. There's only this, but what is this? It's an appearance. It's an appearance where? Well, where is not really an accurate aspect of me, but if just for the sake of argument, I could say, well, here, I could say this, here, now. That's what I know. Do you know anything more than that?
No, if it is an appearance, then it is just like a dream. I mean, you can't really say.
The thing is, what the thing is, you've been believing that this was Praveen's dream.
Yes.
It's not. Praveen is the dream. I'm dreaming that I'm a Praveen and a JP and an Andrea and a Fred Davis. That's what I'm dreaming. But the same thing that's looking through these eyes is the same thing that's looking through those eyes. We just have different pairs of glasses. But it's the exact same thing. It doesn't, we have noticed that what we're talking about here is oneness, not sameness. Oneness and sameness are not synonyms. They are completely different. Oneness can look anyway. We can tell. How can we tell? Look around. It does. There are thousands of crazy shapes and sounds and thoughts and mountains and oceans and all this and that and the other.
So let me ask you one very stupid question again.
Good. If it's stupid, I'm open for it.
When you said there was unit overwhelm and then you surrendered, and then what did you do?
I'm sorry. Repeat that, please.
So there is unit overwhelm.
Yes, right.
And then you surrender to it, and then what do you do?
Well, who are you asking?
I'm asking Fred.
Fred. There's no Fred here. Assuming there's no Fred here, who the hell are you talking to? And there is no Fred here. I've got many people in this room will back me up. And eventually, I hope everybody in this room will back me up. And when I say back me up, who am I talking about? I don't know. It's a paradox. But I can tell you there's no Fred. So what you have to do is notice when I say that there is no Praveen, what do you find right now? Awakeness.
You are cutting me off at the very root where I don't really have any, questions.
Well, God forbid. You don't have a snappy answer for that one. Notice that Praveen may think very highly of himself, but I don't. I can't even see a Praveen. And I can't hear one. See, oneness means the only thing that's here is one, which is me. And I hear only one thing, which is me. And I see only one thing, which is me. And everything that's happening here, how am I doing this? How am I doing this? I'm not doing this. It's just happening. The Greeks, the Romans, they always wanted to know, well, do we have free will or do we not have free will? Do we have free will or do we not have free will? Greeks, the Romans, the scientists and philosophers and theologians and all that. And I just have one simple question. Who are they talking about? Who are they talking about? So when you start saying, I want to know who you're talking about. And you don't know. Because you're lost. And that's where you need to be. You need to be lost. In a world where Praveen is not, where there's just lostness, what is it that can notice that there's only one thing going on here. Do you think that something outside of oneness is going to discover oneness, maybe over there somewhere? There we go. Perfect timing. There's nothing outside of oneness. My God, pay attention. Oneness is telling, because you are oneness, and this is oneness. Everything is oneness. So oneness is telling oneness that oneness is not having the oneness experience. What kind of crap is that? See, we don't pay any attention to our language, but we just lie right off the hip like gunslingers. I gotta lie. I can lie faster than you can.
Well, thank you. Today has been very helpful.
Good. I know it has. I have felt a wink, which is big stuff for a guy like you. That awakeness can now wink. Now, if we can just get you to where you don't follow that up with thinking. Who else wants to get their toes stepped on here while we're on this thing? We don't have that much longer. We got about 20 minutes almost. So I'm happy to annoy somebody else. Only there's nobody else here. That's the only problem. So I just have to annoy you again. Says who? Says you. Pamela.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Yes.
So to clarify, when pain is happening in the body, in oneness, it's simply an experience?
Simply an experience. And I would like to tell you that oneness has preferences, but I can't find any. And this pain is just another experience, but it's not Pamela's experience.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. It's like me a lot there. Just by saying, yeah. So there's no Pamela. So it's, what is it? What's painful. I found this out, and it didn't make the pain go away. I got nothing to make the pain go away. But what I can tell you is that it gets really bearable once you recognize that it's not your pain.
Okay.
Can't be. There's no you there. Yeah. Good. You're putting this together very well. I don't have to step on your toes today. Good.
Well, there's a wondering.
Yeah.
Many
the way you put that. Go ahead.
Many years ago, when I was a Pamela, and I would have migraines, the go-to treatment was doctor's office and a shot of Demerol. So the experience that again, going into memory, was that the pain didn't go away.
Yeah.
But it felt like I was removed.
It puts distance.
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's that's what painkillers do. And you're right on top of it. That's a perfect analogy. Because that's it. That's it. I can't improve on it. Okay. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Thank God. Thanks for saving me. Find a little bit of light in this room. And I'm not insulting you guys, because there is no you guys. There's just me. That's just me. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. And when I'm talking to me, I'm talking to you. Susan, you can bring just a little more confusion.
Well, yeah, as long as you're available, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Why not?
Just to come out and play.
Yeah.
But just point of clarification, I guess, is when oneness is having all the experiences that are happening, and I see that oneness would never call pain bad and bliss good. So it's just pure experiencing. There's no qualification to it.
We don't actually know.
That's what, okay, that's, yeah.
As a human being, we don't even know what bliss is.
Right, okay.
We have got an imagined idea of what bliss is.
Okay.
And there's bliss and there's the absence of bliss.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but there is no opposite.
And so do we really, because it feels like as oneness and just really resting and in the recognition of true nature, or I am that, it's like it's just what is. There's not a
there's just what is, no matter what I think about it.
Exactly.
Well, I could have saved myself a lot of time.
Me too.
Listen to the sage. Right? Just listen to the sage.
But I always come back to that because I go, well, it's not really it. Is it even being experienced? I guess we don't really know that.
What we think, and this is there used to be a sort of a teacher that used to say this a lot, so I don't use it, but it is true, is that we believe that we are humans having a spiritual experience, when in truth we are spirit having a human experience.
Right. That was popular in the 60s.
Yeah, I know. Long time ago.
But it is it's just
a disreputable, in my mind, a disreputable person came up with a bit of.
Well, yeah.
Even he stumbled on truth but he only said it because he wasn't sure.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't think we can ever be sure of anything.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Now it gets bigger and broader and deeper every
Sureness is the death of spiritual experience.
Wow. Yeah. I know nothing.
Yes, that's it. Be Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz.
That's right. Be Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes.
I know.
He never got in trouble when he said, "I know nothing."
I know, because
he my God, eventually just leave him alone.
It's like less than nothing.
Yeah, that's it. Because what you are is not a subtle presence. That's what we all talk about. I feel the subtle presence of God. Who is that?
What's that?
You have this subtle presence. There's a subtle absence, is what you really are. And in the absence of a form you, there is the space that allows for all of this. And do you notice that God has never asked you to change one thing?
No.
He's just
she hasn't.
That's good. It has never asked you to change one thing. So in fact,
except my socks, maybe.
Because it's fruitless search, because there's only this as it is. No, there's no buts. But I know, no, there's no one to know it. But I don't there's no one to think it. But.
Yeah, without thought, what is there?
That's the reason I talk on top of people sometimes. Can you imagine how much it hurts to sit here for 10 years and listen to people lie about?
Actually, I can.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can. You can. Very good. I get it.
Yeah.
Let me go talk to Nikki.
Yeah. Oh, Nikki's up. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Yeah.
Come on, Nikki. I can't hear you, dear. Got to get your mic on.
I was watching this documentary yesterday about, are we living in a simulation?
Yeah, right.
In fact, my husband woke up in the middle of the night and said, "Tell me more about, are we living in a simulation?"
Yeah.
Can't we wait till the morning for something like that?
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because I can see it,
Yeah.
but then I'm not sure it's equivalent.
When you when you see it, equivalent to what? Tell me what comparison there is to oneness.
I don't think there is one.
I don't think there is one either. So if you, so there's this as it is. And you tell me more. What's asking? Oneness is showing curiosity about itself. And you can milk that. You can help that. But when it shuts up, don't argue with it anymore. Don't argue with it. Just let it come around. Because they just shut up and shut off, and you lose the only client you got, your husband. You don't want to do that.
That's the truth.
That's the truth. Right.
So but it seems like there's a kind of like oneness feels like a causeless cause. There always was and always will be, and whatever. Whereas living in a simulation.
Wait a minute.
What?
There's a Nikki and a simulation?
Well, that's
not one
analogy seems to
me. Oh, yeah,
like
but that's where it falls apart. Nikki is part of the simulation.
Okay.
That body, that mind, the questions that are coming. And guess what your husband is? He's part of it too. And it is not, and him being a part of it is not contingent upon him believing it. That's the reason we don't feel like we should have a great need to go and save the world. If they don't know, they don't need to know. How do I know? They don't know. If they want to know, they'll come to me. If they want to know badly enough, they'll come to me and they'll do what I say. And when I'm saying that, this is oneness talking, not a Fred. There's no Fred Davis. There's nothing special here. There's something incredibly ordinary. It's so ordinary that awakeness can speak freely through it, and does. And the Fred unit is, what are you saying? And we'll get to the end of a satsang, and it'll be so clear to me that Fred never said a word, that Fred has nothing to do with it. But it is all about me.
You had said at one point that like putting on Oculus or virtual reality goggles.
Yeah, it is.
Get it better.
Yeah. Go to the store. Go down and just let it.
Oh, I got to go to my grandchild.
Okay, go to your grandchild's and let him put in something there.
But that's like a simulation.
Yeah, it's a simulation. Yeah, and you know what? You're looking at virtual reality, and guess what's looking at virtual reality? Virtual reality.
Virtual reality. Okay.
So there's only virtual reality. That's what this is. There's a happening. It looks, it smells, it tastes, it feels. It isn't. What is talking to you right now? We've no idea. I know that it is very powerful. And I know that but the word that I would use to describe it is very, even though there's no very to it really. It is holiness itself. That's what's here. And that's what people come to hear. I don't care what Fred Davis thinks. They want to hear the holiness. They want to hear the holiness talk. And holiness has no pride whatsoever, as indicated by the fact that it will use this as its teacher. I mean, come on now. Nobody expected.
Well, you're perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I am, but most people can't
what
see
holiness always uses, it seems.
That's right.
I went away.
Yes. Yeah, you went mute. You went mute. We can't hear you. Can anybody hear him? Okay, no. Nobody can hear you.
I'm mute. Can you hear me
There
now?
we go. There we go.
It just felt mechanistic, not holy. To think of this whole living in a simulation as if we're computers inside a giant.
We're computers. Which we are you talking about? Which
in this
we are we
documentary,
talking about? Huh? I only find oneness. We. I don't find a we. And I notice that things are as they are. And the funny thing about God is that she does not owe you an explanation. It's right on. Look at our egos. It ain't enough to create the world. Now you got to come down and explain it all to me.
That's right.
So that I can get it and I can have it and I can be special like God. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
You bet. I love you all, and I'm ready to go now. It's been a wonderful, wonderful session. Thank you for letting the dog get out. Let the dog out. That's what happened today. Somebody let the dog out. And it sure was fun. Sure was fun. Come back next week. We can do it again. It'll be different, but it'll be the same oneness, but it will appear to be different. Thank you for coming. And listen, thank you, the people that are here. Thank you so very, very much for your support with the GoFundMe. It has just been explosive. It has just been fabulous. And you are the warriors who came to save me, save us. And by that, I mean Betsy and I, because there's a paradox here. There's nothing, but Betsy is very important. So are Willie and Jack. So is his house. So is the electricity. It's not either or. It's everything and all. Bye for now.